Okay, now let's move on to this story from the Western Cape, where the Provincial Emergency Medical Services are warning people not to make hoax calls. There have been several reports of EMS personnel being hijacked and robbed after receiving hoax call-outs. Now, the Provincial Health Department says such calls also pose a danger to patients who really need urgent attention. Well, to tell us about how serious this problem is and what they're doing about it, we are joined now in our Cape Town studios by Dr. Shaheen de Vries. He's, of course, the Director of the Western Cape Emergency Medical Services. Dr. de Vries, thank you for your patience. I'm sure you can hear me now. This is a very serious problem, and you are now asking the public to refrain from making such hoax calls.
Yes, thanks very much, Dania. Hoax calls are notorious for emergency services, and I guess as we approach the Easter weekend, this is a particular concern. And so what we're urging our citizens to do is to use our emergency services, including ambulance services, responsibly. Yeah.
Now, how rife is the hoax call? I mean, how rife are hoax call-outs in the Western Cape?
Yeah. So our statistics report that the number of calls that we get that are not where we don't transport a patient, that's quite high. That's about 30% of our calls hitting the call center where we don't actually end up transporting a patient. Now, not all of those are hoax calls, but that's still a high proportion of calls that where we don't need to transport the patients. I think with the emergency number, 112 emergency number, that statistics and actual hoax calls and people using it for frivolous calls has dropped considerably.
Yes, and the number of those people who've ended up going out, your EMS personnel being hijacked and robbed, do you have statistics for those? I mean, is it like every month it's happening?
Yeah. So staff attacks are still a major concern. At the moment, in the 2018 statistics, we've had about 61 attacks, and this year to date, we're sitting at 8. We are concerned with something we're quite vigilant about. We've done several initiatives to keep that down. But I think the impact is that we have resources that's unnecessarily delayed. And so therefore all the more reason to have citizens actively participate in using our resources responsibly.
Yeah. What kind of action, besides you urging people not to make hoax calls, what other action can you take? I mean, could somebody who makes a hoax call, if discovered, face criminal charges?
Absolutely. I think now with the technology that's around, we have the ability to identify at least the number which they call from. And when we do report to our SAPS colleagues, they act on these quite aggressively. What we also see over holiday periods, and school holidays in particular, in the past we used to have a lot of kids call through. But with the emergency number, the 112 number, which sort of filters a lot of those before they reach us, that's dropped down considerably. Yeah.
Okay, before I let you go very quickly, Dr. de Vries, it is a holiday season, it's the Easter weekend, so to speak. Your medical services, emergency medical in Cape Town, ready for any influx and any challenges this weekend?
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously everyone's heightened awareness during this time, particularly on the roads, a high volume of traffic. And so we do have a visible presence over the roads during this period. But the work continues. On Tuesday, people will go back to work and the roads will still be there and the volumes will still be there. So we obviously are more vigilant during this period, but it's 24/7, 365, unfortunately.
Thank you very much. We wish you well. Thanks for your time. That's Dr. Shaheen de Vries, Director of the Western Cape Emergency Medical Services. Now,